And on Ngozi Talk Shows family, it's Nomsa here at Ngozi Talk Shows. Find your own voice, lead from within. With me today, I have Claudia Passa and Shireen Groove. How are you, ladies?
Hi, Nomsa. Hi, Claudia. Love to see you.
So our topic today is the limitations of surface level self-care. Self-care is important. It is a very, very important part of living a healthy life and balanced life. But many people are only engaging in surface level of self-care activities like bath, face masks, and all sorts of things. So in this video, we explore the deeper limitation of these specific self-care activities and how you can take care of yourself and take your life to the whole new level. Over to you, Shireen. What do you think about the topic of self-care?
I really, when I first looked at this topic, I didn't really kind of understand it. We're talking about the limitation of sort of surface level self-care. And when you started speaking about it, I thought, well, oh yeah, that is true. There is something really important about our ability to really understand what is self-care and what are we striving for with the intent of doing self-care. And I think when I look at it, self-care for me on one level is about how do we deeply nourish and nurture ourselves, right? If we don't nourish and nurture, what happens is that, if we have a plant and we don't nourish and nurture it, it dies, right? Especially if it's out of position. So say it's in a box where it can't get nutrients from the rain or the sun or those kinds of things. So a plant normally would be okay outside because the earth nourishes it in its own way. But if we take a plant and we take it outside, from outside inside, then the nourishing and the nurturing is completely different. We are now responsible for that nourishing and nurturing. And there's something really important because once we leave our mother's womb, we are now totally responsible for nourishing and nurturing ourselves. And so when I think about it as a surface level, it's kind of like we're spending so much time in the doing stuff. And we're not in the place of the being and embodied stuff, which nurturing really wants us to be. So for me, when I think about it as a sense of a surface level, this is the part we think, oh, well, I've had that massage, right? But we don't then take that further. We don't say, okay, so I'm intending to have a massage because I would love to have this, and start to deepen the process of what that massage is actually going to do for you, and then follow that through with activities later that are going to help consolidate that nurturing. Most people will go and have a massage. Yes, it's really good. And then what happens? You go into life. And actually, a lot of what you've done you've kind of mitigated the effects of it. So you really want to think more in the idea of what self-nurture is about, which is the deeply nourishing and nurturing. And if we start working with that, that's about growing ourselves and allowing ourselves to begin to flourish. Because that's the purpose of it, isn't it? The purpose of it is that we will flourish and bloom and bear fruit. So for me, that's really what I think about when I think about nurturing and self-care. It's the ultimate flourishing and fruiting.
Yeah, I like the word nourishing, and yeah, absolutely. And to me, self-care is the practice of consciously doing things that preserve or improve our mental and physical being as well. So just like as well, just to throw in some more words in regards to explaining self-care. And obviously as well, it's looking different for everyone. I mean, yeah. We all have different meanings in regards to self-care and what it means as well for us. But the thing is as well, when we look after us mentally and physically as well, then it improves as well our quality of life and the performance as well in the job, in the business, and then the relationships. And basically as well, we just, it's very important as well to talk about it and to look at it and to be aware as well how much it's affecting us as well if we don't do the self-care. And I always like to take the example of the aircraft when you have the oxygen mask. Yeah, it's just so good. They drop, and you have to take the oxygen mask first to put on yourself first, and then only you go to the younger ones and the elder ones and the other passengers as well. Okay, so self first. And I mean, we have been taught actually as well that this is a selfish act too, you know, like self-love and self-care and everything. But when we look close to it, self stands for first, you know, self first. And actually, if you see and understand it like this, it's just, it makes totally sense to look after you first. What's your approach or explanation to this, Nomsa? Self-care?
I think it's self-care for everyone. For some other people, like you said, Claudia and Shireen said, is different. But I think there shouldn't be a major difference, like what you're saying, Claudia, that when you're on the plane, you have to put your own mask. Like if whatever happened, you have to give yourself oxygen first. And in order for you to take good care of other people, I think that is the right definition of putting it that way, that you have to simply look after yourself emotionally and also psychologically. And if we don't take care of ourselves psychologically and emotionally, then things will go wrong into our lives. So I think mindful meditation and journaling and therapy, all different therapy that you can use. And also for me, it will be prayer as well. And it does help with the self-care, because when you're journaling, it means you're connecting with your emotions. And I know some people may say self-care is kind of taking a bath and soaking yourself. That comes with it as well, because we never really have the time to actually sit there or go out and have a massage or go out and really spend the day connecting with ourselves. Some people are always working. They always want to win something. And when they do succeed in that something, they don't really take good care of themselves. They keep going until the doctor says something is wrong. That's when they're like, okay, I need to take good care of myself. So that's how I see that self-care is. You have to take care of our emotions and the psychological, and make sure that we live a healthy life. And also the food that we eat as well is important. What goes in, and also how much calories it is, all those things that people don't really look at it. And we are good at doing some research with business. Shireen, I'm sure, and Claudia, you guys can agree, like the trend, what is trending now with my business, we are good at telling those things. But when it comes to self-care, I'm one of the guilty ones as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a, I suppose while you were talking then on, I'm thinking maybe it should be reframed as radical self-love, because when we truly love ourselves, we're going to look after ourselves first, right? And by looking after ourselves, we're feeding ourselves, we're feeding and nourishing and nurturing. And that means that we are full. And when we're full, we are more able, we have so much more energy to give. Yeah. And I think that this is this misnomer that tends to really get lost in the essence that it is about radical self-love. And all of us want to be loved, and we can't truly function well if we don't love ourselves. And so, yes, when we talked about surface level, it is really about doing the little bit, enough that will just take the pain away or take that sense of stress away. But if we do what Claudia was talking about, it's a conscious decision, but a conscious decision to love ourselves, a conscious decision in every given moment to kind of say, well, I'm here and I'm going to just love myself in this moment. I'm going to look at what I need to eat. I'm going to feel into it. Or if there's a situation where something's going wrong, you can just say, I'm just going to stay here for a minute and feel into it, because this is where I will learn to love. When I stay in that presence and I give and I think about love as that energy of how everything's going to work out, it really does shift the whole way you think about things. So, of course, we all get caught up in our stuff, but I think that it's so much easier to cope with life if we are coming from a place of not empty. And self-love fills us, fills our container. It fills, and it I suppose I'm going to go into a deeply spiritual thing here. I truly believe that we are the emanation of the Creator. So if we are that, then self-love allows us to let the Creator shine through us. Lets God shine through us. And that's the best gift we can give anyone. And the best gift we can give ourselves. So I think when we do that radical love, that's what we do. So when we choose to consciously choose the kinds of foods that are going to feed us, or we choose the kinds of activities that nourish us, like we go and listen to a concert, or we go and talk to our friends and spend real time off our phone, or if we take time to just be, then we're truly, truly loving ourselves. And that gives us so much energy to give to others. What's your thoughts there, Claudia?
Yes, absolutely. In regards to the being, we are always doing, and we forget the being, but the being is important. So the doing is the masculine, but the being the feminine. So it's as well a good here to understand as well to be in both, So I like to be the do, like a balance of the masculine and the feminine. Obviously, we need both energies on both sides in life to be able as well to get things done. Yeah, it is what it is. And something else as well came up in regards to, I've been as well guilty in the past that I started to do more self-care whilst or when things got wrong. Nomsa, you mentioned it, when we get sick or we are just like, nervous breakdown, worked way too much, and only then as well, some of us might actually realize, okay, it's time to take a step back and to get some self-love or self-care. But what about as well, you start already with it so that it doesn't even come to that point, that we don't get sick and burn ourselves out and so on. And as well, what I have found as well, like radical love sharing, yes. And when I look at my life and the clients as well, when we have our situations in life with health as well, what you said, or we have to step up at work, or we get bullied, or we have to the abusive relationship as well, no matter what it is, or to say no as well to people, to have the boundaries. If we look closer to all the course as well, it goes always back to us, to self-love, that we have to look back into us and to see as well that we are important and that we are number one, and that we do certain things around it, that we change and improve as well, and that this doesn't actually occur as well in the next time around. So absolutely, self-love is important. Nomsa?
I think it is very, very important, like what you're saying and what Sharon is saying as well. No matter what we go through in life, we still have to give ourselves self-love, because it's very, very important to be aware of our feelings, to be in the present moment and go beyond. I think it's very, very important. There are some people who have been through so much in life and they feel that they can't go on, or even if they're in an abusive relationship or children being abused, they sort of give up. Because sometimes when you go through tough times, you end up losing to express your feelings, you lose yourself. But there is a hope that if you are willing to find that hope, there is a hope that you can actually love yourself and put yourself first. Because by writing your emotions, you can write to express your emotions, to clear your mind, writing everything down. I always speak things out loud. When I need to get rid of something, I say things out loud. Or sometimes you can do breathing exercises. And when you do breathing exercises and also gratitude exercises as well, is very, very important. And also being thankful for all the good in life that you have, because although we go through tough times, not everything is bad. So we can just thank this good life that we have. And when we are able to thank the good life, and then in the other life that we desire, it will come to us. But you have to be willing to make things happen. You have to be willing to love yourself enough in order to free yourself. There are some people who go to work Monday to Friday, and their managers, the company owners don't appreciate them, but they still get up and they are frustrated. Instead of loving themselves enough to actually change the environment, they are like, you don't understand. Like, why don't I understand? They're like, can't get another job. Yes, you can. You just have to believe and trust. How you got that job, you'll be able to get another one. Or if you are in a relationship that is not working, why staying in that relationship and being abused by somebody else? But normally the victims always blame themselves. I am the reason why this person behaved. They always blame themselves. But guess what? No one asked you to be treated badly, so you can't blame yourself. But the only thing you can do is just move away from that situation. And that is called putting you first and loving yourself enough to actually move yourself in that environment. And also there are other things, there are lots of different things. But what I need to know with you ladies, self-care, I know we all talk about personal development and self-care and everything, but how can somebody, like if there is anyone in the audience that is watching, in order for them to actually have the courage to step out of that situation they're in and find breakthrough, how can they go about it?
I think for anybody to even start is to really perhaps deeply understand that a lot of the way things are because of conditioning, right? Because of the way we've grown up and the way we now think about things that then create a false truth. Yeah. And I think one of the first things that they need, that anybody that wants to do a change, any kind of change work, is they've got to get to the deeper truth. And the deeper truth is, what is their soul trying to tell them, right? So if they're experiencing disharmony, they need to stay with that disharmony and find out where are they blocking their soul? And then recognize that their soul has another agenda, right? Their soul wants them to leave, but they're blocking the leaving because of a non-truth. So the thing what is so important is to kind of get to identify both of these, get to recognize what is true and not true, and then learn and see, where did that non-truth come from? Because that non-truth may not belong to you at all, right? You made up some story, or culture or your family made up some story in order that you had to toe the line, right? So it's really important that you find out where that non-truth came from so that you can invalidate it. And sometimes it can be quite challenging to do that for yourself. And that's when you go and find a therapist or a coach or someone that's able to step outside and be able to give you some evidence that might, or to question you and sort of say, well, is that really true? Right? Even just to ask the question, is that really true that I can't make a difference here? If you really believe that it's not true, and yet you have evidence that other people can make a difference, other people can leave, other people do well, then then that truth that you're believing is not true, right? So as you said, Nomsa, you can leave your job, you can do those things, but it's really about what's keeping you stuck. And it was really interesting because I arrived a little bit late on when we met today, and I thought I had plenty of time. And guess what stopped me? The bus got stopped, the traffic got stopped by a rubbish truck. And I thought, there is a message here. The message is we have to be ourselves, fully ourselves, without restriction. And that means that when we listen to our soul and we do what our soul wants without restriction, this is not a soul that's deciding that they must go and shoot people. No, when we're in alignment with our soul, what happens? We are aligning with infinite love. And then what happens is you start to see that there is a possibility. So the real thing that's limiting us are these blocks, these bits of rubbish that we need to just kind of uncouple ourselves from so that we can really begin to live that truth that is our truth. And we can then go and expand, because the moment we are free of the shackles, we get to be lighter and we get to be brighter, and we get to pull people to us that are going to sustain us and help us and shift us. So I think that's the first thing, is really to start taking a little bit of notice. Where are my beliefs? Where are the things that I got this feeling, I feel a bit limited. Am I really limited? Is that really true? And really check out, well, whose story am I running? Is this a story of me feeling of lack? And then look to find someone that can help you. And maybe the first thing is to journal and ask those kinds of questions first. And then when you find that, I'm still finding it a little bit challenging because I'm a little more frightened, right, that's when you go and see someone so that you can get some help, because that's really important. Two people together are better than one sometimes. Yeah? And so that can help a lot. Or be in a group where a lot of people may have got through what you're going through, and they'll give you opportunities, or they'll say how they did it, and you can model that. But it's really about recognizing that this is just a restriction, and it's restriction to your light, to your energy, to your life force. So so self-care is breaking that restriction and seeking wholeness.
Yeah. And as you say as well, like listening to yourself, because we do get the answer as well. We can feel it inside as well if something is not right anymore for us, or if we are going off track. But we sometimes as well, we still tend to ignore the messages, it's just like we do it, obviously. But then it will still stay there and stay there and stay there, and it will be still shown as well to you outside that is just not right. And I like to say as well, just see if you feel joy about something, because once the joy is gone as well, the job, the business, the relationship, the friendship, no matter what it is, or the new working out habit, it has to be joyful, okay? It has to be fun, because once this is as well gone, it's just like, it's just not really, why do you want to do it? And as well, Shireen, yes, I like it as well. Like, is it really true what I'm believing here in regards to this situation, that I'm too old, I can't change the job, I won't find anything else, I won't find the next good best man or good best woman as well. Is this really the truth? And usually it's not the truth. And I like to ask myself a similar question with the same meaning. It's, do I know without a shadow of a doubt that this is really true, what I'm believing here right now about the situation? And usually it's not, okay? It's not. Again, as well as you said, it's just something we picked up from someone in the past or the media, just like friends as well, the caregivers. It's just like a story we picked up from someone, and even there, it might be their truth, but it doesn't have to be our truth, because again, we are in charge. It's our life, and we are in the driver's seat, and we create our own truth and reality. So this is as well, again, a good reminder not to take all these stories and the limitations as well into us, to realize them. And just like as well, in regards to changing what has worked for me as well. I've been like a few times in situations, and then I got so fed up with the same experience outside that I just decided in this very moment, enough is enough. And just to come to this realization, soon as well, I had outside circumstances, they were changed. I had different people, opportunities as well coming to me, just by me having the awareness, enough is enough. I'm fed up with this constant thing or situation, whatever's been going on. It can actually as well be easy. Nomsa, what do you think about, just like you asked a question, do we have something else to?
What you're saying, Claudia, that other people's opinion of self-care, they're not really other people's ideas and stories. They're not your story, and you have to be in the driver's seat. And also, Shireen, you mentioned that self-care is breaking those restrictions. Because what happens is, what Claudia as well is saying, is we tend to want people to tell us what we can or what we can't about ourselves, but we do know ourselves very well, what we desire in life, what we want. And in order for us to actually get to where we need to go, we need to take good care of ourselves and do the things that our inner being, look after ourselves, the inner surface and outer world as well, inner world and outer world. And not just to look good on the outside while inside we are broken. We have to look after ourselves inside and making sure that emotions, we're not holding any unforgiveness or holding anything, because also people's opinions as well. Sometimes people hold on to people's opinions, who they are, and they end up living that life. They're like, I don't want to be judged. I don't want anyone to judge me. When I was in Essex, and I spoke to this girl, she's from Zambia, and she says to me, she had a agency, care agency, and she was out in this country. If you want to start your own business, you have to put a white person at the front. Your manager has to be a white person to run your company, and you have to be at the back. So I was like, I don't understand. Why do I have to do that? And she was like, because of racism. And I was like, I don't think that's the case. And she was like, yes, in order for you to succeed in this country. So that's what she was doing. But then in looking at the situation, for me, I don't think that's the case, because like what Claudia is saying, you have to write your own story. How many Black people who have their own businesses who are millionaires? The owner of Gatwick Airport, actually, I didn't know he was a Black person, a Nigerian. And until one of my clients actually told me that, she was like, I watch your talk show on Twitter. And what you guys do is amazing. No one does what you do, like being a matchmaker and then actually having that talk show. And she was like, I watch it, and every time I watch it, it inspires me. And she was like, oh, I wanted to leave you with this just before she left. And she was like, I'm going to actually help you to market your talk show, by the way, for free. But did you know that the owner of Gatwick Airport is actually a Black person? And she said, you could go further in life if you wanted to. There are no limits. And actually, people define themselves by color, but I don't think that is the real truth, because what you believe, not every white person is racist. So that's why when she was telling me that, she made me actually define, when I see a white person, I'm like, you all racist. So I was like, that's not the case, because I was new to this country anyway. But then as time goes by, I realized that there are people who have their own opinion about Black people. There are some people like British community who will go far and above and beyond to welcome foreigners into this country. And I realize that that is not the case, that we can define ourselves and say, just because I'm Black, I cannot run my company, I cannot be seen as running my own company. That's not the case. So there are experiences that we have to experience, but we have to break those restrictions, like what Shireen is saying, what Claudia is saying. You have to be in the driver's seat, drive your own car, and live the life that, imagine how God actually created you to be. He didn't create and say a white person is going to do this. He didn't say a Black person is going to do this. We are all different. In a way, our talents are different, but together we create something. And that's what I believe. And that's my belief, that wherever you go, it doesn't matter what color you are, you're always going to find there are white people actually who have faced racism. Black people think that everybody is the same and they treat them really bad. Like in Africa, there are people who have faced that. And I think we all go through that, but you have to know your destiny. The self-care, it means, I don't care what you think of me. You didn't create me. If you didn't make me, you cannot define me. That is self-care. It means that you hold the pen, writing your own story. If you feel like today I'm going to have a bath, like 5, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 1 hour, just lay down there, enjoy myself. That is self-care. If this is what you define it, just get on with it and do it. If you want to go and have a massage, apparently there was somebody who went to Bali. And Bali, having a massage is really, really cheap. And apparently this guy was having a massage every single day. And there was the guy that runs the Laughing Yoko. He said, I don't think here in Bali we have a massage every day. And he was like, you don't understand, Dewa. In my country, in United Kingdom, it's so expensive to have a massage every day. So I'm just going to have it. And he was having it every day, because to him, it was his own way to show that he cares for his body. So if you really, really have that ideas in your heart that this is self-care for me, and you are scared of being judged, just don't worry about people. 99% people don't notice what you do. I've realized that at Ngosi talk shows, I love you guys because you do your own things. And when somebody wants to do something or they're not sure, people ask questions like, I'm trying to do this, can you help me? Is that's what life is about. It's just putting yourself out there and knowing that you know your destiny and caring about yourself as well, because that is caring. When you go for what you desire in life, that is caring.
Yes, I like that. I think that is so powerful, that statement. If you do what you like in life, that is caring.
Yeah.
Because you're giving to you, right?
Yeah.
You're giving to you.
Mm.
And what you're and I loved what I'm catching was the other thing. If you didn't make me, you can't efface me.
No.
I loved that. And I think that's really important, because we are the spectrum of the rainbow. And we also have to realize that, in the sense of light, when we think about it, it's just that we're all part of that light, and when light is not there, then we can't see, because then there's the darkness. So our job is to create the lightness that it shines so brightly that there isn't anything else. And I think that's what's really key here for every soul. Firstly, nobody knows what God looks like. So, I think we can all really subscribe to the fact that God can look like anything. And I think that is the truth, in the sense that I believe God is all. And so therefore we are all part of that. And I think that we are all the individual souls of that. And so, as you said, if you're not giving to you in some way, that's saying to you, I revere you. Because the moment we give to ourselves, we're telling God that lives in us that I revere you. And I'm taking care to keep that body fit and healthy so I can keep revering you. And I think when we start to look at that very deep level, it's so much more easy to kind of hear those deeper truths that we need to hear. And it's so much easy to be at peace when there's so much other stuff going on. We're more likely at that time to be able to go, well, I'm revering me. I'm taking time to revere me. And when I do that, I radiate. I radiate the love. I radiate peace. I radiate all that it is. I was kind of thinking the other day, it's like, what does being in presence, when we give to ourself, I do believe we're giving to our soul when we're doing that. So when we're giving ourselves love, we're in that moment where we're in time and we're out of time. We're in the place where we can be, and everything can be instantaneous. So if anyone really wants to understand the law of attraction, this is it. You must be in time and outside time at the same time. And when you're there, that is when you're in that perfect state of nourishment and nurturement and absolute reverence to yourself. And so I think that when we do what we like and we enjoy it, we have this embodied effect, because most of us, when we're doing what we like, we're fully there. And I think if we can do that in our job, if we can do that when we're talking to someone, if we can do that when we're in the bath and just really have that, we're going to get all the nourishment we need from that. Or you can stand in the sun and let the sun nourish you and feed every cell in your body. There's a lot of people that do sun eating. That's a really good one to do. Sun eating is really lovely. You sit there and you imagine your cells, the sun coming in, the cells just being lit up by the sun, and you actually can feel as though you're kind of charging up. The really lovely, nurturing one to do. So, this is what I truly think. It's the when we choose to do what we like, we revere ourselves. We give reverence to the action. We give consciousness to that action. And so for me, that's really about. I think that's deep love. It's not low, what we call surface level. I think this is surface going deep, right? It's almost like that, being in both at the same time.
Nice. I like the sun eating idea. I never heard that before. So do you actually sit outside and you feel the sun, the real sun on you, And then you go into all these ideas. There is a Shireen.
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry.
Yeah. How do you?
I just realized I was trying to switch this off so that you wouldn't get the phone that's ringing on the outside. Anyway, don't worry. Yeah, you can do it both ways. Okay. You can do it both ways, Claudia. I think, you can just close your eyes right now. And you could imagine going into a place where you just kind of, in your body, you've got the solar plexus anyway, right? You could focus on imagining that you're seeing the sunlight coming into your solar plexus, or you can imagine the sun coming into your mouth. And the sun is just coming in. I'm seeing it right now. And I can imagine the heat, and I can imagine, that there's just particles going along. And just imagine now it's coming in, and you take a big gulp. Oh, wonderful. And it goes down into your stomach, and it just warms your stomach out. And then it kind of, as it warms your stomach, you can just imagine that you're experiencing, with each breath that you take, you start to notice that you get warmer. And as you start to feel that warmth, you can see the light, and just imagine it starting to move outside your stomach into the cells. And just imagine that every cell, as it moves out, that there are these tiny cells, and they've got faces, and they've got mouths, and they're taking it in. And you might find that as you start to get that, you might start to also at the same time hear those sounds. So hear the frequency of the sun, hear the frequency, and just keep moving it so that you're expanding, and you're feeling that sunlight just feeding every cell, releasing what doesn't belong, and giving what comes in, what must come in. And just keep doing that, and realize that as you allow every cell to begin to do that, you go beyond your body, and you start expanding that outside into your auric field. So you start radiating the sunlight outside you. And you can let that then expand to other people, to people you love. And as you still keep doing that, keep taking more sun, take more sun in, more sun. Just let it really radiate through you. Take nice big bites of sunlight. And swallow it deliberately and say, yes, you're going to feed me. Yes, you're going to give me energy. Yes, you're nourishing me. And you can do that, and you could also, if you wanted to do a different one slightly, is to actually imagine having starlight coming down and coming. The sun is a star, but you can, if you were doing a sort of a starlight one at night, you could have the moon doing the same thing, or you could have stars coming in and doing the same thing. You get a different effect, but you will definitely get nourishment from it.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing, Shireen.
Something very simple.
Yeah.
It can make such a big difference.
Things actually are simple. It's just we make it always so complicated, Some things that I wrote down as well, I wanted to say is, I would like you all as well to have a check up on themselves. What are your beliefs actually as well in the programs you are running in regards to self-care and in regards to deserving self-care as well, Like sometimes as well we could feel, how do you say, guilty as well for taking time out, like business owners or mothers as well, or just like as well any one of us, like usually life is very busy, and then on some level as well we can actually feel guilty to take time out and focus onto us and to do to so that we actually feel better. But we don't see in this case that actually is a win-win as well for us and as well the people in our lives at work as well and private lives, that actually if we do decide to take time out and to invest in us so that we get better and feel better mentally, physically, emotionally as well, that like everyone is benefiting from this. So just please don't feel guilty, don't feel guilty as well to take time out. Absolutely. Nomsa, how do you do this as a mom and a businesswoman, and like the relationship? Do you feel guilty to take time out for you?
I don't feel guilty to take time because if I don't feel good myself, I wouldn't be able to look after my children. So also I train my children to be independent. They do their own things as well. They have to do their own things, not to cling on me as well. And as a business person doing the things that I do, I do so many things, and I'm studying as well at the same time, but I have to enjoy what I do, and I have to enjoy my time at the same time. I make sure that I have a free time for myself where I just drift away and be with God or be with myself. And feeling guilty, maybe something that would have happened before, but not now. I know that I have to, in order for me to take good care of somebody, I'm going to have to look after me first. And then share the love that I have and my time with the other person. So I put myself first. And sometimes even with the clients, if I know that I'm not available, I don't put the appointment for the sake of putting the appointment, because I need to be in the present moment. So if I can't help them that moment, that means I can't. And this is something that I've learned the hard way. The first time when I did Paul McKenna's programs, How to Mend Your Broken Heart. And the thing that he teaches first is taking good care of yourself. The lies that you tell yourself, you have to let them go. Because sometimes we lie to ourselves. And the truth is, when we lie to ourselves, we destroy ourselves. So it is very, very important to put yourself number one. And even if it hurts, like sometimes we are friends can demand our time. It is okay to say, I'm not available. If you don't want to be there, you can tell your friends that I'm not available. I can't be there for you today. But if that person loves you so much, they will understand that you love them so much and you can't be there that moment, but you always be there for them. My friend know that I love them so much. And those who demand my time, who makes me feel guilty for maybe loving myself or being there for myself, I don't hang out with those people, not because I'm better than them, it's because I don't do drama. I keep, my life is very, very simple. Very, very, very simple. It's like if you want to come to the talk show and let's say you're not well, or you family problems, or somebody's sick, to me, you don't need to explain. Nomsa, this person is sick, or I don't feel too good today. You don't need to feel guilty, because as much as I love everybody. And I want my relationship with the people around me to be real. And in order for it to be real, I have to allow them to be themselves. So that's what I do. I just allow myself to be me. And I know sometimes it can feel that you're being selfish, or you can feel, some people feel guilty, but you don't have to. With my children, they know that if I'm not available, sometimes my kids, they go out with their dad and they don't buy me anything. They'll come home and say, Mommy, we had this, or we had Subway. And I'll be like, where is mine? And they're like, you were not there. So if you are not there, you lose. But if they go somewhere or they buy something, or supermarket, they'll buy me something, donut or something, just a little things. But it's those things when they say, okay, we're going out or we're passing through McDonald's, they don't think about me. They just have to come home and say, Mommy, we had this. That's how I'm training them, that it is okay to put yourself first. And even they got this idea from their father that if you go out and if you're not there, you lose, you can go and buy your own takeaway when they get home. So that's what they do. That's what we do in our home, that you have to look after you. And it's very, very important not to worry about being judged by people. We live in a very, very judgmental world. And after going through the personal development, the journey that I've gone through, is actually opened my eyes with the people within this community, that actually the people who go back to their old life and start feeling miserable, even if they start personal development, is the people around us. The people, they put people down. And I've noticed it, and it's real. And with myself, I just refused to get into somebody's website that is not mine, somebody's story. I refuse. And I've noticed, I even said to myself in my heart, that's the reason why people actually, they change their lives and then they fall again, is people around. So you have to have boundaries. Like if you are a coach, and you have to remember the journey, what you had to go through to actually create the mindset that you have, not allow somebody to come in and do everything. People do allow people to do that. And just say no.
Yeah, I think something you said so amazingly there, Nomsa, which was just allow myself to be me. And I want to just take that, because I just is such a resonance, because when you allow yourself to be me, you're just automatically working from this space, right? You're working and you're expanding out. What that entitles you to is not boundaries, because you automatically, by saying I'm saying what you want and what you feel, automatically in itself creates a boundary. So you don't know that you're creating a boundary. You just know that this is what I'm saying, this is what I'm following through on, and the rest is not your business. You let it go because it's not part of you. And I think that is something that I think is really powerful, in a sense, because I actually think I think the idea of boundaries, sometimes I kind of get, but I think that if we are ourselves, we have no needs for a boundary, because we already are we're creating the space for them to be who they need to be, and you to be who you need to be. And you'll never get caught with other people telling you what to do. You'll never get caught in any of those things. And I think that if you're doing what you want, you're going to be happier, and happiness will follow you because you're happy, right? And you will start to move along that happiness channel that will then give you that sense of ease and flow, and peace and grace, whatever it is that comes with that. So yeah, I mean, I hadn't thought of it that way, but I can see now, just from a very spiritual sense, that it's just emanating energy out, and it's from that source that's fully you. And I think that nobody would mess with that, really, because you're so congruently you, right? I love that. I love what you said there. What do you think, Meg?
Yeah, absolutely. It's important as well to embrace yourself and to understand as well the uniqueness of us and everyone else as well, and as well to include as well our flaws as well, right? So just like every part of us, and to understand, and that it's just really who makes us for just like for who we are. And actually as well, by being this, absolutely totally agree, when we are able to live this and then we stream it out, and then as well the respondents outside is totally different. It is actually as well acceptance, and people want as well to know who you really are. They don't want the fake version of you. They're not interested in it. Absolutely not. Which is please be yourself, including the flaws. Don't fluff the floors. I know, yeah, including them.
Yeah. I was just thinking in a sense, and I love the analogy that the sun, the sun doesn't know any lack. The sun only shines, right? It's just giving. Yeah. And it's not lacking because it can do that. So it really is that if we are like that, we create our inner radiance, our inner sun, and it radiates all the time. It means that we can go from that place because we're constantly being resourced by ourselves, right? We're constantly resourcing ourselves. There's no conflict. There's no, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. No, it's just, I'm doing this. This is what I do. This is what I am. This is who I am.
I like it.
And I think that acknowledgement of ourselves, to give ourselves that freedom, to just be ourselves.
Yeah.
And that does require us to get to learn to know ourselves.
Yeah.
Because we can't just be ourselves if we're being ourselves through the filter of our pain, right?
Yeah.
And if we're just being ourselves and we're being nasty, that's not helpful. It's not helpful because we will just keep perpetuating that pattern. But if we're being ourselves for what we are when we were born, because all babies are born, they don't know anything until life happens. They're normally naturally dispositionally happy and smiley. So in general, if we're just being ourselves, which is our true nature, then I think that would give us that real nourishment that we need.
I like that. And as you say, to give us the freedom, and I like to say to give us as well the permission to be ourselves. Yeah. The freedom and the permission. Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Namsa, you are on mute, by the way.
Yes, of encouragements, Claudia, and also tell our audience who you are.
Absolutely. So, so I am an intuitive mindset coach, theta healer, and you can find me on LinkedIn. I help people to find out their limitations. It's actually as well one of my gifts to intuitively as well understand where the root cause of the limitation of the block is, and then just like to bring it out, highlight it, and then to change it around into something more powerful and productive as well. And some words of encouragement, absolutely. So I would like the audience as well to, just like do some reflection in regards to what does self-care mean to you. Again, it's different meaning to all of us. Just like see what it means for you. Thank you.
And Shireen?
Yes, thank you. So I work with pregnant women, highly stressed, professional pregnant women, mainly, but also women with imposter syndrome, to help them to kind of slow down, to reset their mindset, and to really connect with their intuition so that they can have that embodied mind leading the show, basically, and be able to make those decisions that are much more helpful to them. So that's what I do, and I always, what's really intrinsic to me is really about this radiating. How do we radiate love? How do we use love as our way to live our life? And so really, love is really about having no conflict within ourselves. When we're born, while we're in the uterus, there's no real conflict. When we are born, we experience our first separation, our first pain. And from there onwards, we live in a dual world. The time when we begin to connect back to ourselves, when we start to go into our body, when we become ourselves, when we act as ourselves from ourselves, then we work as one. And then we are happy, we are united. There is no conflict. Then we have peace. And when a mom works with her baby in the uterus, this is a perfect time to really shift and change any of the old stuck behaviors that a mom is carrying, but also what a baby is resonating with from past genetic stuff. We can change all of that so that when that baby is born, it's so much easier for a mom and so much easier for the baby. They're calmer, more resilient. and moms are more resilient and easily able to cope. So this is my real mission and love in life, to make sure that everyone's birthed well.
Thank you so much, Shireen and Claudia. And we are here at Nkosi Talk Shows Monday to Friday, 1 p.m. UK time. And please come and join us. And if you're watching us from YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, be part of the family, and also on Facebook. Nkosi Talk Shows page, like our page and give us some gold. And God bless everyone. If you want to get in touch with Claudia or Shireen, you can get in touch with them on their social media, or you can go to my website, www.hscia.com, ring the office, or just send me an email and I'll connect you with whoever the coach you want to be connected to. Live with grace. God bless.